cancel culture, am I right? It's the scourge of the modern era. You can't say anything anymore without a band of left-wing liberals threatening to shut down your livelihood with their bully tactics. It's like they don't even... Huh? What? What is this? What? People who've been canceled by the right. Amy Grant, the Dixie Chicks, Barney, Colin Kaepernick, Liz Cheney, Ellen DeGeneres, the Teletubbies. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. Everyone claims to hate so-called cancel culture until a band or a public figure does something to piss them off. Then suddenly they're putting out calls to ban and boycott everything from the Barbie movie to Cracker Barrel, of all things. No, we all love cancel culture when it suits our purposes. Now, for the record, I don't believe cancel culture really exists, at least not in the way that most people claim that it does. What we do have is something akin to outrage culture, pile-on culture, groupthink culture, but when's the last time anyone was actually canceled? I mean, most of us barely have the follow-through to sign a change.org petition or call our state representatives. We can barely keep track of who's been canceled, and we're certainly too selfish to change our buying habits for very long at all. Convenience culture is really the only winner here. But it occurs to me that regardless of how hypocritical these calls to end cancel culture may be, the idea of roundly dismissing public figures when they engage in wrongdoing might be doing our culture more harm than good. Now, firstly, let's just take criminality out of the mix. That's a different discussion. And I also don't want to include behavior that's abusive, pathological, or unethical to the point that it borders on illegality. No, I'm talking about regular old human foolery. Someone says the wrong thing, or they say the right thing in the wrong way, or they didn't speak out quickly enough, or they said too much, whatever. The scandal hits. Cue the embarrassment and shaming and the public apology. I don't believe it, we say. I don't believe it for 1 second. They're not apologizing because they're sorry. They're apologizing because they got caught. And maybe so. Maybe they are. So we assign them the scarlet letter and they roam the highways and byways shouting unclean for 1,000 eternities. Or maybe they suffer no real consequences at all. But there has to be a better way of holding public figures accountable for wrongdoing. So-called cancel culture is, at its heart, an overcorrection to a legitimate issue. People in high places have been hiding behind their money and unchecked power from time immemorial. We've all grown up in an era where politicians, preachers, and Ponzi scheme dealers have concealed their dirty deeds with zero consequences. It's maddening. But it occurs to me that we wouldn't have a need for so-called cancel culture if we were willing to embrace redemption culture. But there can be no such thing as redemption culture without atonement culture. But you can't have atonement culture without repentance culture. And we can't have repentance culture without contrition culture. And we really don't know anything about that. In fact, I would wager to say that most people watching this video could not provide a working definition of most of those words. I mean, not to go all Andy Rooney on you all, but those concepts are simply not relevant in our current age. So instead of contrition, repentance, atonement, and redemption, we default to cancellation because that's all we understand. It's a cheap substitution, but it'll do. Until we're the ones in need of redemption, of course. But that could never be us, right? We say and do all the right things and take all the right positions and curry all the right favor with all the right people. Or at the very least, we know how to keep our mouths shut. Hopefully. So-called cancel culture still exists because it serves a need. Ultimately, we desire justice, but it's my hope that we and our collective conscience will begin to cultivate an equal desire for truth and for mercy.
Hey DC, I can't wait to see you on the 15th of October. Check the ticket link in the description of this video or in my bio for details.